Alright everyone, and welcome back. So we're going to begin the process of retopology. So, first things first is I'm going to select these other meshes here that aren't the upper body. I'm just going to move them to a separate layer. So select that, hit M, I'm going to move that to this bottom layer. I'm going to select this. Move that to the bottom layer. I'm going to select these. I'm going to move them to the bottom layer. And another thing before I get started retopologizing is I'm going to select this. I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate it. Right click, and I'm going to move this by hitting M to the top layer on this. I'll show you what I did that in a minute. I'm going to hit Shift and the space bar to go back to our full screen here with all our different options and whatnot. We're going to go to the modifiers tab, add modifier, and then we're going to add a, well, right click this to make sure that it's selected first. We're going to add a decimate modifier. Now what this does is it takes this high poly count and reduces it significantly whilst retaining our detail here, or most of our detail here. So we're going to make the ratio, we're going to turn this ratio down. So you want to turn the ratio to about 0.5, maybe a bit less, but I'm sticking with 0.5, and then hit apply. And then we wait. So, what that did is basically reduced the high polygon count that we had to a lower amount so that our computer can move a bit faster. You can see the little artifacts and stuff in here. That's due to the fact that we reduced the amount of polygons in here. Actually, I'm going to add another decimate modifier and change this ratio to 0.5 also. So, do it twice. I'm just trying to reduce it as much as possible without losing the details, so that we can have our machine move a bit faster than it is. And apply this one. And you see we're greatly reducing the number of polygons. So there we go. That's better. So now let's get started retopologizing. So for retopology, hit 5 to go into orthographic mode, hit 1 to go on the front view, and we're going to hit Shift A to add a mesh, and we're going to add a plane. Oh, whoops. Make sure your cursor is in the center. So since our object's up here, let's hit Shift S, click cursor to center, and then let's hit Shift S again. Whoops. Make sure your cursor is still in the center, and then hit Shift S, and then click selection to cursor. And then tab into edit mode, and move this up. R to rotate on X 90 degrees. So type in 90 and then hit enter on the keyboard. 3 on the number pad, and rotate that this way. Scale it down, move it up, scale it down, and go on the 1. Hit 1 to go in the front view. Hit G to grab. I'm going to place it in front of here. Now, in order to get this to snap to the geometry, we need to turn on a few options. So down here we have a magnet I'm going to turn on. I'm going to click this. I'm going to check face and make sure it's on closest. We're going to check these two options as well. So now when I hit G, it automatically conforms itself to the mesh here. So I'm going to add a mirror modifier. I'm going to check clipping. I'm going to scale this down so we only have to worry about retopologizing 1/2 of this. So I'm going to scale that down, and I'm going to either extrude that in. So let's come around here. Let's E to extrude that, E to extrude that, E to extrude that, E to extrude, E to extrude. we can extrude out like so, or to rotate. Use your mouse wheel to turn down the proportional editing effect. Like so. Like so. Smooth that. Make sure, now when you're retopologizing, make sure you try to follow along with what I'm doing in terms of the flow of geometry. This is very important. Have to have a specific flow. Just going to extrude this, auto rotate, extrude this. Extrude that. And what I did was I just held Control and left clicked where I wanted it to extrude. So it's, again, with this one, it's going to hold Control and left click to where I want to extrude out to, like so. Now I'm actually going to delete that. I'm going to rotate this down, rotate this up, select that other edge, hit F, Control R, add an edge loop in there, hit G to grab, move that up. Control R again, add an edge loop in there, and then Control R one more time and add an edge loop in there. So let's see how many faces. We have 20 faces, or 20 edges in here. So that's good for what we need to do to fill in this area. So hold Alt and right click to select all of these, and then we're going to hit Control F, and then we're going to click Grid Fill, and then we're just going to hit G and grab, and let's see what it did. Okay, so what it basically did was it filled in this area of blank faces here. And so now let's tab into object mode. Let's take this, let's hide it for a minute. So you see we're basically making a simpler version of our high poly mesh. Alright, so let's hit Alt H and unhide that. Select your retopologized mesh and let's continue. Just going to select this edge here. Going to hit E to extrude, E to extrude, E to extrude. Now, before I continue, I'm going to Control R in there, X, delete that. Before we continue, I'm just going to extrude it along like so. I'm going to rotate that, bring it in, select those, hit F, Control R, G to grab, vertex mode. And Control R in here, just add an extra edge loop. We're not trying to be too high poly, but at the same time, you don't want to leave out too many details. Trying to get as much as possible. In fact, what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to do it the original way I was going to do it, like so. So just extrude around, because we don't really need to capture this that much. It'll be captured enough the way we're going to retopologize it. We don't have to do anything too extravagant for it. So just keep Control clicking all the way around here, like so. And let's delete that, turn that back, like so. Select that, hit F. Very good. Okay. Accidentally made a triangle, so let's delete that face. Select these two, or select these four vertices, hit F. There we go. G to grab, G to grab. Smooth that all around, like so. There we go. Just Control click, move that right there. Hit Control R, add 3 loops there. G to grab, move that up. There we go. Now, I'm going to start going this way. So select those. Control R will add 2 in here. G to grab, move that. That's why I say we didn't need to do it that other way, because it'll conform by itself. And we can hit F for that and F for that. So we made faces in here, and we can move that like so. And then we can extrude this way. Select these, hit F. Select these, hit F. We can extrude this way again. Select these 2, hit F. Select these 2, hit F. Now if we wanted, in fact that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these 2, hit Alt M, merge at center to solidify some of that. And I'm going to merge these at center also. And there we go. So we're closing up some of those gaps there. It's kind of, think of it as a puzzle. Think of it as a puzzle. Select these 2. Whoopsie daisy. Select these 2, hit F. Select these 2 and these 2 and hit F. Control R twice. G to grab, move those to the surface, and let's continue. Select this, hit F, and then F again. I'm going to move this up to try to conform to that shape. Alright. Going to extrude this out. F. F. Now, see where the flow is going. Okay, so that's good. So we might want to add a bit more. We'll add one more loop in here. So hit Control R. One second. Okay, so hit Control R here. Add a loop in there. Left click. Left click. Hold B for box select. Hold the middle mouse button. Click and drag over there. Hit G to grab. Move those faces out, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, very good. So we can see what we're doing. Extrude once, extrude again, and extrude again. Make all those faces. Now, we're going to extrude this vertice out. Select these 4, hit F. Select these. I must have selected the wrong vertice. Hit F. Select these 2, hit F. Very good. Whew. So we don't really need to try to get the vertices to form to the back too much. I personally don't place too much importance on the flow like that of the back, but I do occasionally, like so. Just gonna extrude these down, and I'm going to either extrude them to the center there. G to grab that. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today I chose to. Just because. So that's the area where we're going to stop. So we're going to keep that in mind as we continue along. So, 1, 2. Alright, so I'm going to start here. extrude to the center, extrude to the center, like so. So I'm going to select, oops, daisy, I'm going to select these two and these two, hit F. Okay. Now I'm going to select these two, hit F, and then hit F again, like so. And to add some more vertices in here. There we go. So I just hit Control R up my mouse wheel, whoops, up my mouse wheel twice, and added those two edges in there. Alright, so let's select our high poly mesh, hide that. Alright, so we see how it's coming together. So let's give this smooth shading. Alrighty. Check on it every once in a while. And let's keep it going. So hit Alt H. Alright, let's continue. So we're going to extrude. Daisy. Okay, those two are already faces. Very good. Make that a face. Extrude up, and up. Select those two. Control R. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, so let's patch up this area in here. Like so. And select these four, hit G twice for add slide, and then G again to conform it back to the geometry. G twice for add slide. Conform it back. In fact, I'm just going to move this, just plainly move it around. Now there is an add-on for the arms that would make topology or retopology a lot easier for it. But because that add-on costs money, I'm not going to show you all that particular add-on. I'm just going to do this the long and hard way. So let's continue here, and then we're going to start connecting the back to the front. So let's extrude out. F for faces. I'm going to add some geometry in here so we can have a sense of evenness. Smooth that out. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna select these two, hit F. Now let's see what that does to the geometry. So this flows into that, this flows there, this flows over there, so that's good. Okay, so that actually was a good thing. And then I can extrude these two out. Select that, hit F. Oopsie daisy. Select these two, hit F. And I'm going to select these two, hit F. Alright, so I'm going to need a bit more geometry in here, so I'm going to hit Control R in this twice. Alright. I was going to need it for this particular piece of detail. Just E to extrude that, hit F. And to accentuate it a little bit, smooth this over, let's get this situated. I'm going to extrude this vertex, extrude it down, then connect it in the center there, and going to hit F to make those faces, and then I'm going to simply extrude out a face from this side, extrude out a face from this side, select these two, hit F. Oops, well, select all four of those, hit F. Going to extrude a face from here. Whoops. Now before I do that, let's turn off clipping for a second. I'm just going to extrude a face from here. Turn back on clipping. Scale that down. Select these. Hit F. I'm going to select these two. Turn off clipping. E to extrude. Scale that down. Select these two, hit F, and then select these two, hit Alt M, merge at center, and hit A, Control N, fix normals. And okay, so how many faces? We have 7 vertices, so we need to get rid of one. So let's select this edge, hit X, and edge loops. There we go. And we can select these, hit Control F, grid fill. How did it fill? I don't like the way that filled, so let's change the span of this grid fill, and let's change the offset. Something like that. There we go. So I like that. I'm just going to hit I for inset. I'm going to inset that, G to grab it, just so that that detail can be a bit more pronounced. Alrighty. Alright, and then one more thing I want to do. I'm going to select these faces here just to further help this out. I inset that, G to grab, move it up, like so. And then I'm going to delete this edge, select these faces here, center, or not faces, but vertices, center. There we go. And so one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this to a different layer. So I'm going to move this down here, just so that I can, you know, turn on and off the layers, so I can better see what I'm doing in here. Okay. So we have a problem. Some of our geometry here got messed up. So just select this face, hit X, delete faces. There we go. And another thing we need to do is in object mode, just change the shading back to smooth, and then there we go. Fix some of those problems. So how long have I been recording? Alright, so that'll be it for this part of retopology. We'll continue in the next part. So I'll see you all then.